Today in this video, we will create our own random color palette. Each color box will display a unique color hex code. Every time the page is refreshed, a random color will be generated. Not only that, but you can also click on the color box to copy the color code, and you can use this color code in other projects as well. First, we start by creating a header with an h1 tag. Then we create a div with a class container. Inside this div, we add another div with the class color, and within that, we include a span with the class hex code. Now let's style this structure in the style.css file. First, we apply some global styles to reset margins, paddings, and box sizing. Then, we set the body tag to have a height of 100 VH to fill the entire viewport. For the header class, we use the following styles. Text align center to center align the text. Font size 40px font weight bold to set the font size and make the text bold. Color, font family to define the color and font family. Margin 30px to create a gap around the header. In the container class, width 100% to make the container span the full width of its parent. Display flex to use flexbox for layout. Justify content center to center align the items horizontally. Gap 20px to create space between the items. Flex wrap to allow items to wrap to the next line if needed. Padding 20px to add padding inside the container. In the color class, width 200px to set the width of the color box. Height 150px to set the height of the color box. Border radius 3px to give the color box rounded corners. Background red to set the background color of the color box to red. Cursor pointer to change the cursor to a pointer when hovering over the color box, indicating to users that it is clickable. Hexcode class sets the position to absolute, adds 3px padding, sets the background color to 0002, positions it at the bottom left corner, and sets the initial opacity to 0.3. When color box hovered hexcode is applied, the opacity will change to 1. Let's move on to the JavaScript file where we'll write the remaining code.
First, I found the container div. Then, using a for loop, I generated color divs inside the container div to minimize the code. Then, I used querySelectorAll to find all the color divs. After that, I ran a for each loop on colors so that I could perform separate operations on each color div. To generate the RGB value, I used the math.random function to determine the red value and then calculated the green and blue color values similarly. A function called RGB to hex was created to convert RGB color codes to hex color codes. It takes 3 values red, green, and blue values, and then returns the full hex color code. The color returned by the RGB to hex function is stored in a variable and then set as the background for each color div. Additionally, the color code is displayed inside each color div. When clicking on a color div, a slight visual transition is added by decreasing and then increasing the opacity. Simultaneously, the copied text is also displayed. However, if double-clicked, the hex code is not visible, so an if operation is implemented. Additionally, a function called copy code is created to copy the code, which takes the hex code as input. This hex code is stored in a virtual text area and then copied using document.exec command copy.